right. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Lead, Sell, Grow, the Human Experience Podcast. Every once in a while, I get a guest who's like up here to me, right? I look up to this person, and today that guest is Ray Kashkar. He is a Navy SEAL. I'm not going to say he's a former Navy SEAL. He's a Navy SEAL veteran. Ray is the founder of Conquer, a leadership and team building program designed to push you physically, mentally, and emotionally for individuals to break through their personal barriers. He's also the lead instructor in the Squire program, which is a program designed to give young men a rite of passage into manhood. And the coolest part about that program is that they get to do it with their dads. So me and Max, my 13-year-old, got to do this a couple months ago. Is the best thing ever for a father and son. And Ray is also the lead instructor for the MDK project. That stands for Modern Day Knight. And we'll definitely learn more about that. Now, something you guys may not know about Ray, but he's also a movie star, like most Navy SEALs aspire to be. He starred in Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks and has been featured in multiple TV series. Ray, welcome to Lead, Sell, Grow, my friend.
Thank you, sir. You know, it's funny. You say you look up to me, but you're like a lot taller than me. So technically you kind of look down, but even though maybe you look up, but no, it's an honor to be here, brother. We go back and I'm pumped. I'm pumped to spread the message and make an impact. So let's do it.
Yeah, let's freaking do it. Okay.
I like that shirt too. I like that shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, another thing I really, really love about Ray is he's a Ravens fan, just like me. We grew up not too far from each other, right? You grew up in Reisterstown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dundalk, Reisterstown, Carroll County. Yes, sir. That's where I ended up.
Cool, man. Carroll County is the place to be in Maryland right now, by the way. Everybody's moving up there to Westminster, to Finksburg.
Beautiful. Beautiful area, beautiful people. Love it. Love it. Love it.
For sure.
Love it.
Before I get into questions, Ray, I told Max this morning before he was going to school, I said, hey, I'm interviewing instructor Ray today. He said, Daddy, when you hit record, make sure you tell him that Max said hello and let him know that we're going to be back for another program. I want to do this program once a year.
I'll tell you what, tell Max if he comes one more time, then we'll start having him be one of the male chaperones for the young men, because we like to do that too. So he would be a mentor to the young men, guiding them through. So we have my friend James going to do it in North Carolina. So love to have him. Love to have him.
I'm sure he's going to be stoked. Ray, why you joined the Navy SEALs on a dare? Mm-hmm. I've heard enough of your content to know that. Tell us about that.
Well, you know, just my entire life, I was pretty much told I was worthless and I was nothing. And I was always seeking something more. You know, when you're that round hole trying to fit in a square peg. And I don't know about destiny. I don't know about, you know, karma, but all I know is when I saw that pamphlet, when I went into the recruiters, I was awoken and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And the one thing about me and my mindset is that I'm relentless. I'm ruthless with my pursuit to success. And that doesn't have to mean from a monetary standpoint. I don't accept the word no. I don't accept the word quit. I don't, you know, can't take off the apostrophe T. You got can, won't is one. That's my mindset. I just take those negatives off and make things positive. But yeah, everybody was just like, you know, you're too small. You're not strong enough. You're not smart enough. You're not this, you're not that. So me and my buddy Bill were just talking. And I told him, I said, I bet you not only will I join the Navy and become a Navy SEAL, but if I do, you have to come to my graduation. So BMSN Raymond M. Care, USN, has successfully completed basic underwater demolition SEAL training, class 200, presented this 18th day of August, 1995. Bill Harmon was at my graduation.
That's pretty cool. And you guys had 156, I think, or somewhere around there, originals, 16 from the original.
You know, what's funny is Jason, I was actually told from my buddy Jason Gawney, only 7 original, but I think it's still 16. It's definitely a lot less than a 10%. You know, the attrition rate, you know, was not over 90%. And you know, the success for me for Buds, just like anything else, is I program myself, because life's about programming yourself, right? That's why we do the Squire program. We're programming these young men. We're reprogramming dads. Sometimes they need a little micro and macro tunings. But for years, I just programmed myself that bell didn't exist. So much so that in second phase, someone has to volunteer to shine the bell and take the bell. Everyone avoids it like the plague. Not me. I'll take it. I took care of it. And my point, the symbolism is I named her, I shined her. I took care of her. And I said, listen, I'll take care of you, beautiful, if you take care of me. And she did. I never rang her. I never once when I was cleaner, I'd always take everything off and clean it real good. I have to run out beforehand. And I think the progression to success is number one, believing in the process and trusting in the process and respecting the process, because to do anything, whatever that process may be, it's tough being a dad, being a husband, being a father, being a protector, being a provider, being an entrepreneur, and it's funny because the definition of an entrepreneur, when I looked it up, is someone who gets up and takes risk. Well, I'm going to let you in a little secret. Every human being every day gets up and takes risks. So we're all entrepreneurs. It's, are you an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur? And I'm learning the difference very quickly. And that's why I'm so hell bent on making sure that these young men, I know we talked about the Squire program, are on the right path. And then a lot of times I get, well, who gives you the right or the creds to do it? Well, I'm the kid that got in trouble, did everything wrong. Father was murdered, didn't have a great relationship with my mother, did drugs, was drinking, got locked up. I'm pretty much like, if there was a new Jerry Springer show out, I'd be the poster board child for it. But my point is me alone decided that I wasn't going to go down that path. I wasn't, I was going to be fit. I was going to be a good human. I was going to make an impact. I was going to marry a beautiful woman, which I did, way out of my league, got her tattooed right there. And I was going to surround myself with the best human beings on planet Earth. Now, it's taken me 50 years to do, but I've done it. I have a great boss. I have a great wife. I have a great group of core individuals. And I'll tell you this right now, I'm not 50 years old. I'm half a lifetime old. I'm just dialing it in. So this is what I tell the world: the next 50, hang on, because it's just going to get bigger, better, faster, and stronger.
Dude, that's so freaking awesome to hear, because I just turned 42. As a matter of fact, when we came home on Sunday, that following Monday, I turned 42. So last time you saw me was like the day, last day of my 41. And I don't know if I got it all figured out. I don't feel like I'm anywhere near where I want to be. So I see you. And by the way, to do some research on you, I checked you out from the History Channel stuff you did about 8 years ago. You're all over on YouTube. You guys just check out Ray Cash Care and you'll see what I'm talking about. But there was a picture I think Bedros posted, or maybe you posted. It's you, Bedros, and another guy. You got your shirts off, dude. And it said your ages, 50 for you, 48 for Bedros, and I can't remember what the other guy is. You look better now than you did back then, 8 years ago at 42.
Yeah, and it's just because every day my mindset's, I'm getting stronger. I'm getting more dialed in. I'm more tuned in. And I think the secret to success is realizing that you're never going to get it right every day, and, my wife came up with a great analogy I use all the time. You only win and learn. You only lose if you quit. I'm not a quitter, so I never lose, but I learn, no matter what it is, I mean, case in point, let's talk business. I once made a very expensive mistake with Bedros that cost, which would be me half a year's salary. To him, I don't know what it would be, but he didn't yell at me. Well, his voice was a little bit more strict, but instead of, scalding me, I was scared to death I was going to lose my job. He corrected me. That was like 3 years ago when I first started getting into this business, and I've never done it since. I never will. So I think the key is this: just learn from your mistakes, accept that you're going to make mistakes, just don't quit. Like, I have goals, I have dreams. Some of them are from a monetary standpoint, but 99% of them aren't. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm Kane from Kung Fu and money doesn't matter. Money does matter, because as Bedros Keuilian says, money is a vessel of freedom. Mm-hmm. So, and what it does is money buys me the most precious commodity I have on planet Earth, and that's time. Case in point, I'm having a new air conditioning system put in right now, top of the line. Back in the day, I tried to put that in, but I'm trying to use time management. I pay people to do things. It's not that I'm lazy. It's just I can make X amount of dollars or do this or do that while that's getting put in. Now, the one things that I always will do because I'm an overachiever. And when I have a bad day is I love to mow my own lawn and I love to vacuum. And I'll tell you why. If you are an alpha and you're having a bad day, go out and cut the grass or go buy it. We have 2 Dysons in here.
I love Dyson.
The lines. So I control, because remember, I'm a control freak. I try to control as much as I can. So if I have a bad day with sales or something like that and I lose control, I drop down and do my push-ups because I do my 1,000 a day. Still not under control. I'm going to vacuum. I mean, the lines are beautiful in here right now. I vacuumed yesterday because I was having a bad day. I move everything in a vacuum and I am controlling the lines. And sometimes I'll vacuum one way, then I vacuum the other. I do this, I do that. And as silly as it sounds, I remember telling Bedros that, and Bedros is like, "You're such an alpha." And I'm like, "I know, but I need results." And I think that's what people need to do. People are always swinging for the home runs, but remember, you can win games, bunting, singles, doubles, triples, no pitch hits, right? So that's how you have to start looking, be 3-dimensional with things. And that's the biggest thing that Bedros, and I know I keep hitting on Bedros, but he's been such a mentor of mine.
Oh, he's amazing.
I'm a whole different animal. I started working for him 3 years ago, and he told me, "You are the most refined piece of white trash I've ever met in my life." And he kids with me, but Bedros, because I tell it like it is. And people think I'm a very aggressive person, and they couldn't be farther from the truth. I am aggressive, but it's passion. I'm very passionate about the programs and producing, the best young men for the Squire program, the best men for the MDK project course, the best business owners and entrepreneurs for our LTD. And right now we're doing Operation Black Site, where we're doing tactical and technical training. I mean, I'm training with Tim Kennedy, side by side with Tim Kennedy and Michael Chandler, the best in the world. So cool. Yeah. I have to be on my A game. And I'm always on my A game. People were like, "What do you do to rest?" I sleep. That's it. I don't, I was on the phone last night. I reached out to Bedros. I closed the deal at 11:30 at night. He's like, "Go to sleep." I'm like, "Okay." So, I already spent some time with my wife. Get up. I'm right back at it. I already worked out once, doing stuff, man, because that's what it's about. It's about the grind. When you figure out what your niche is and you're doing what you love, right? I have the best job in the world. I get paid to do what I love. And that's yell at people, smash people, rebuild men, rebuild young men. It's great, man. I'm blessed.
But you're so good at that. And I got this question for you, because you said you were a knucklehead growing up.
Oh.
And then you said, trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
But most kids who grow up like you do, they don't like process.
No.
So where was that shift for you? Was that in buds, or where did you start?
No, that's a great question. The shift for me happened. It's funny because, I can't remember what I ate 3 or 4 months ago, for a meal, but I remember coming home one night from a bar called the Crease in Towson. It was raining. I had been smoking pot. I had been drinking, because that's what I did. I had a red Honda CRX. My father was murdered when I was 11. He was a very violent man to me and other people. And when I was washing my face, I remember it like it was yesterday. I washing my face, have the light on, I snuck in. And when I look up, one of the things that I teach is self-reflection. Look in the mirror, grade yourself on your family, your fitness, your finance, and faith. And the faith is believing in yourself. And when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see me. I saw him, the womanizer, the abuser, the this, the that. And what I realized, I don't know if this was from a higher power. I don't know. Maybe it was the drugs and the combination of what I was on. But when I looked in the mirror, and I love my father, but just because you love someone doesn't mean you want to become them. And right then and there, I was like, I did. I don't know if it's a come to Jesus moment, but I went, holy shit, I can't do this. And then right then and there, I said, I have got to start self-correcting, because I was making excuses. I was going to community college. I was drinking, chasing ass, drinking. I mean, I'm not trying to be foul here, but everything that could be done wrong, I was doing. And that moment, it was like just this feeling, they say, the lightning bolt comes down, whatever it was. And I was like, I need to join the military because I need discipline. Went to the recruiter the next day. It took my ASVABs, took a little bit of time. My ASVAB scores, which is your your vocational aptitude test, what you need to do, were horrible because I wasn't good at taking tests. Truth be told, it took me 3 times after I was in the military. I had to take the test 2 more times just to become a Navy SEAL, which sucked because the second time I missed it by 1 point. Everybody said give up, but I wouldn't. But I literally said it was Navy. You know, I was walking around because my first choice, just between you and I, was Air Force. I wanted to be a PJ. I was like, that'd be awesome. Navy was like, well, it can take you for a corpsman or pretty much a cook. And I went undesignated, which means I didn't know what I wanted to do. And they were like, hey, you know, we're going to put you on a 6-month program till you leave. And I told my recruiter, I said, I don't have 6 months. I need to go as soon as I can. Otherwise, I'm going to jail or I'm going to end up dying. And he said, I can send you in 2 weeks. Sold everything I had, joined the military. And it was because of that moment that I had that night that I realized that, you know, I wasn't a good person. I wasn't proud of who I am. I don't know if I'm even proud of who I am now. Because I don't judge a man on what he's done. I judge a man on what he's doing and what he's going to do. You know, I don't tell a lot of Navy SEAL stories or a lot of CIA stories because that's not, I don't, you know, the Ray Cash Care former Navy SEAL was a joke that someone gave me when I worked for the founder of MTV. You know, now Rob O'Neill goes, this is Robert J. O'Neill, former SEAL Team 6 operator. I get people all the time that are like, dude, we know you're a SEAL. I'm like, dude, it's a joke. Even my wife goes, Ray Cash Care, former Navy SEAL, boom. It's a fucking joke. And I tell people, lighten up, Francis, you know, from Stripes. And so it was that moment. That was a pinnacle moment for me. There's, you know, and I think men in life, you know, Jason Redman talks about, you know, getting off the X in life ambushes. I think we get mortared, you know, we get incoming fire. I think that was the first time I took, you know, my father dying was one, being murdered. That was two. But incoming fire can also be impactful, you know, meeting my wife, you know, and what's the difference between impressive and impactful? I'll be completely honest with the people here. My wife is not the first woman I've ever been with. She will be the last. So my point is I call it the meteorite, you know, meteorites come in every night, you know, you see them, they burn up in the atmosphere, but every now and then, Eric, every now and then, this one meteor comes in. It's so big, it's so powerful, it's so beautiful that even the atmosphere can't burn it up. And when it hits the earth, boom, the symbolism, it hit my heart. And, you know, that's it, man. I mean, that I told her, that's my prenup, girl. I got you tattooed on me. Yeah, I married way out of my league. I have 2 great kids. I adopted one from her first previous marriage. He's mine. And I have a 14-year-old daughter named Nyla. And life's, you know, I don't, you know, there's days, listen, there's days I'm the, you know, the motivator. There's days I don't want to get up. There's days that I don't want to do my lives. There's days that I don't want to do this, but that's what separates the average and the savage is still doing it. You know, like there's days where I'm just like, you know, my wife's like, hey, can you take her to school? Hell yeah, I can. I don't ever want my daughter to think I don't want to do something with her. Or, you know, Bedros like, hey, we got to do this. And I'm just like, you know, really, you know, that's the problem with society today, man. Roll up your sleeves, get dirty. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. And I think once people start doing that, there's nothing that can't be accomplished if you understand the need versus the want. Right? Everybody wants to be a millionaire. Everybody wants to be, you know, I want to be taller, not going to be. What I need to do is be a provider, a savage servant, protector, guider, educator, lover, you know, and the man that I can be. How do I judge who I am and how I do things? By my inner circle, my wife. I actually have AARs, after action reports, with my wife and daughter every week. And I say, tell me one thing that I did right, to tell me 2 things I can do better.
What were last week's?
Better time management, because I was all over the place, and prioritizing what's important, because I almost forgot to get my daughter. So I have a calendar. I have my calendar for daily events with everything, and I didn't put it in there. My wife is getting a tattoo, a memorial for her dad and mom who passed away today. But I forgot to get a haircut. I actually put this the same time that I was supposed to get a haircut. So I told the girl, hey, I made a mistake, but I'm still going to go give her $20 for a tip today, because that's how you right wrongs. Because
it's really the little things. Like there's so many people that would just cancel that appointment, but it comes down to your mindset. Like what inside you is is driving you. And I get it because I have that. Like this morning, I worked out with my F3 crew, and we're sitting at this like coffee shop. And every Friday, the coffee guy, today is Friday, the guy that owns the coffee shop, he comes out and gives us like coffee and little biscuits and things like that. Well, today he puts on the table like 4 jars of Bloody Mary mix and some sake. He's like, hey guys, I can't sell this. It's yours. It's free. Take it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, I like Bloody Marys. I took a couple of those, gave him $20. I was like, hey man, thanks. I can't just take the guy's stuff. Like, I know he's an entrepreneur, he works for it. So I get, but what is it inside you? Like, is it your values that are driving you to go give her a $20 tip? Is it your belief? Like, there's something in you that's like, it's not right if I don't do it.
I just think, like I said, I think time is the most precious commodity, and she was doing me a favor. So that is that's what I call a TST, a time sensitive target. So I don't want to lose, that relationship where I can call in and do something last minute. What drives me as a human being with everything I do is simply this: the fear of being average, the fear of dying and not leaving an impact, the fear of my obituary says, here lies Ray Cash Care, whatever age I died at. And then it's just blah after that. I don't want to be, I want it to be like, holy moly, this guy just died. He is the most amazing human being on earth. He was, like he promised, to be the next Jack LaLanne. He was 83 years old and he died pulling a semi in a jumpsuit while his wife was cheering him on. That's what I want to be. I want to be that guy. I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for fortune. I'm just looking to, I walk around now and people know who I am. They're like, hey man, you're the push-up guy. I'm like, yeah. Hey, you're the motivator guy. Yeah. What drives you to do that? I mean, the question is I ask people is what doesn't drive you to do that is the question. It's not what drives me. It's what doesn't drive most people. What? The fear of a little bit of pain, failing,
Embarrassment.
Yes. Yeah. Not, I'll tell you what it is. People self-sabotage and they don't know their self-worth. Guilty of both. Thank you, Bedros Keuilian, because he taught me that 3 years ago. He told me you have a 7-figure gift. I'm going to pay you big 6 figures to do it. You have a problem with that? And I was like, no, sir. He goes, if you listen to me, you will climb the ranks of success, physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial. Do you have a problem with that? No, sir.
So at that point, what was your biggest aha? You sit down with a guy like Bedros, by the way, who's on the episode before this one. He's not as busy as you are. He's outsourced some things to you. So that's
that's why, because I don't know. Bedros works his ass off.
I know.
Bedros has the rule, the 5% zone of genius, and he has 95% of people doing things for him. I'm one of his guys that does 95%. So
but he sits down with you. And by the way, I've had, I don't know how many aha moments, and I've probably listened to Bedros speak, not including his podcast, for a total of an hour and a half in my life. And I had 3 or 4 aha moments, like, this is where I'm doing wrong. Here's where I need to be, And so you are intimately kind of spending time with, not intimately, not in that way, but you're spending some one-on-one time with Bedros. You're getting mentored. Back then, I mean, you're a Navy SEAL, motivator. You already had the Conquer thing going, right? Or no?
Yes. That's how I met him, speaking.
Yeah. So what was the biggest aha for you there? What were you not seeing about yourself?
My self-worth, my self-value, and realizing that I had more depth than just being a Navy SEAL and a CIA operator and at the time, pretty much a piss poor speaker. Bedros is like, you have so much more in you. And he broke it down to the sheep line, the sheep line. And he told me a story about, because I was hesitant to join Bedros. Like, when you're used to doing something forever and you're making pretty decent money, and you're good, like kicking indoors is easy for me. Going overseas, doing bad, it's easy. Business scares the shit out of me, man, because it's unknown territory. And in business, you don't know who your friend is. It just so happens I actually have a really great fucking boss who I became friends with, and I trust him. But he sat me down and told this story because he wanted me to come work for him. And I was like, B, I'm just scared. I'm scared. And he's like, let me tell you the story of the sheep line. What? He's like, once there was a baby cub, male cub, And the father was trying to teach the young man how, kind of like the Lion King, right? So anyway, they go down, the lionesses kill the sheep. Somewhere in the story, the baby cub gets lost. The father looks and looks, he can't find him. Sheep find him hours later, a day later. He's tired and hungry, and they nurse him back to health, and they raise him as their own. Many years later, the father and the herd come down, the tribe come down, and as they're getting ready to attack, the father sees his son, and he knows instantly it's his son. He comes up and he runs him, and obviously the son is using sheep tactics. He's like, I am your father. And he's like, no, this is my father. Long story short, the lion says, come with me. I want to show you something. They walk and they look into the water. And the lion says, see, you are mine. You look just like me. You don't look like them. And he still didn't believe it. So as the young prince turns away, the lion bites him. The father bites him in the ass hard. And he turns around and he roars and he goes, Rah! And he roars and he goes, see, you have the same roar as me. So the prince looks back at the sheep, and then he looks at the father and he goes, you may be my father, but I will F you up if you mess with my family. So I told Bedros, what are you telling me? He goes, you are acting like a sheep in a lion's body. And he told me, he goes, Ray, you're a hypocrite. He told me you're a hypocrite. Now, Bedros is a big man. He's like, just eyes. And I was like, what did you say to me? He goes, you're a hypocrite. You go do all these dangerous things. You have the opportunity, and it is. Working for Bedros is the fucking opportunity of a lifetime. But I was so blinded by fear, right? Because that's what we do. I was like, And this wasn't even a job application. He was just telling me, you can come work for me. And then after I pulled the trigger, then I had an interview with him. I was like, what the hell, But yeah, I mean, he could have picked anybody. He picked me.
What were you afraid of?
Failing. Actually being so I was so comfortable making X amount of dollars. X amount of dollars that Bedros did this little game with me. And he said, I want you to write, because I didn't know my net worth. He goes, write down what you think you're worth. And I put like $20,000 more than I was working for the CIA. And Bedros wrote something on a piece of paper, and we switched them. Bedros thought I was worth more than I was. What do you think Bedros paid me? What I thought I was worth. Mm-hmm. And he said, this is a valuable lesson. You not believing yourself just cost you $40,000 if you decide to work with me, if I even hire you. And I was just like, oh. Now, since then, I have learned my net worth. When you go to Bedros, you don't go, it's not like you go, hey, I deserve a raise because I'm this and that. Bedros is like, we have these programs, and I produce, and I get rewarded very, 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 very handsomely, in my eyes, and he's opened doors for me that I've never done. But the biggest door that he opened is I believe now I can do anything. I thought I could do anything when I was a CEO except business, and I can do business. I can sell, I can talk. I'm a better speaker. I mean, oh my God, him teaching me how to sell and dissecting the way I speak. I went from a $5,000 speaker to a $12,000 and $15,000 speaker. Bedros is like, because when I first met Bedros, I was like, hey, was I a good speaker? And he goes, yeah, you did great. And I was like, what? You're a $50,000+ speaker and you're telling me I did good? He goes, oh, you want me to be honest? And I said, yes, sir. And he goes, it just hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. And I just hit, like, I'm going to show you something. I have these, where's this at? All these little things I have in here are Bedros giving me lessons.
Oh, that's so good.
They're audios. That's all they are. They're audios. So that's what Bedros does. Instead of listening to audios, whenever I'm with Bedros, I listen. He gives me advice, and I just, hey, I want you to do the 3 hours of speaking. I want you to do this. So when I drive, I'm doing this and taking mental notes, and I stop and I put my notes in there. And then, as busy as he is with his gazillions of dollars, he quizzes me. Let me hear it. I'm like, or hey, you're going to get up and speak in front of, 1,000 people. What? Which is nothing to him because he fills up stadiums. And I'm like, but that's what it's about, man. It's about taking risk. It's about having people, you got to believe in yourself, but it's really awesome when you have people that believe in you, because obviously somewhere, somehow he believes in me. And my secret to success is this: I'm loyal. The grass isn't greener on the other side. I'm telling you guys, here's the deal. If you don't like your lawn, you got to water your lawn. You got to treat your lawn. And if you can't, then you got to find somebody that can help you. And that's what he does. Bedros told me something a couple of weeks ago. He's never, because this is what a lot of people do. People that surround themselves with people like Bedros think they're going to become Bedros, and they may. Or you can accept that you're climbing the realms of success in your own way. And you went from making this amount of money to this amount of money, changing your lifestyle, changing your attitude, changing your ways. And Bedros said, let me give you $1 million piece of advice. You ready? Right? And I'm like, and what he did, I'm like, yes, sir. He goes, never drown the man who taught you how to swim. And I was like, I got goosebumps. I was like, he goes, do you get it? Because that's what he always does. Do you get it? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, explain it to me. I'm like, you don't bite off the hand that feeds you. He goes, exactly right. Too many people do that to him and people in his world. They try to copy what he does. You can't copy people like him, Ed Milet, and Annie Frisilla. And they're all friends of mine, because you know what they're going to do? They're just going to come up with something new. Like Bedros said, the biggest form of flattery you can get is when people copy our things out there all the time. And I'm like, Bedros, look, man, they're copying our shit. And he's like, good. We'll just come up with something else. And I'm like, but he's like, Ray, take a Quaalude, man. Calm down. I'm like,
That is the biggest form of flattery. And you can't copy guys like you. By the way, I hold you right up there, and Bedros.
Oh, wow. Thank you. With that crowd, holy shit,
But yeah, it's because of what they've been through. You can copy their results, but that's not what drives people to them. It's not the Squire program that drove me to the Squire program. It was you, and it was Bedros. Bedros, when we were at the Great American Summit, and I told him this, the time of my life, I just moved down to Florida from Maryland. And I did it because my kids came home and started asking me why are police officers killing black boys? And that's what their librarian teacher was teaching them in the public schools up there. And I just did not want to do that. So I got up and rolled out with my family, and we moved to Florida, where it was a little bit more freedom. Well, Bedros gets up on stage, and one of the things he said, people always ask me, why am I still in California?
Oh.
And you know where I'm going with this.
I know exactly where you're going. We've had this conversation.
If I leave here, who's going to stay and fight?
Yep.
And I'm like, literally a few months after I moved, do you know, I felt like the biggest little bitch in the world when I heard him say that.
And you know what else I hear a lot from these guys? And I know it sounds like a cliche. I mean, I've heard it from Sean Whalen, Tim, all the guys at all the guys that, make very well, they're like, I'm like, man, they said, don't not move to California because it's expensive. You don't want to move there. You don't want to move there because you don't like this, or this. But Bedros is like, listen, if you want to move to California, all you have to do is make more money. And I'm like, it's not that easy. Truth be told, it kind of is, if you have the right networking group, right? And again, I want to make this very clear. I'm not a rich man within the bank account, but I'm a rich man in so many other ways. But I will tell you, the bank account is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're doing a lot better things. But this is something I want the audience to know. I got tested. I got quizzed. I was like, I'm getting quizzed. Bedros quizzed me when I had my job interview. And he goes, I'm going to ask you a question, Ray. He goes, because if you stay with me, and this is, he goes, I'm going to teach you how to make a lot of fucking money. I'm like, yeah, but he's like, it was more than that. I want a better family life, generational wealth. Because when Bedros asked me what I wanted, everything that I wanted was for my family, not me. He goes, I love that about you. He goes, now the final part of the test before I quiz you is this. Are you ready? And I'm like, yes, sir. I mean, I showed up 3 hours early because if you're early, you've heard this. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, you're fired. So we did a workout. We were supposed to meet at 3. It was like 12. I'm like, let's do this right now. So when we got to the interview part, the last part, he goes, I'm going to ask you a question. You ready? Yes, sir. Fill in the blanks. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. Like Jeopardy. He goes, the more you make, the more you what? I'm like, the more I take. No. Shit, got one wrong. Let me try again. The more you make. Long story short, after 3 times, I said, sir, at the time I was 45 years old. I think he was, 40, whatever it was. I said, obviously I'm not getting this, and I'm going to keep saying the same damn thing. And he goes, exactly, because this is what you've been programmed to do your entire life. The more you make, the more you take. And I said, he goes, I remember this like it was yesterday, because he's like leaning over me. He's so just enormous. You know, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
And he's just his big hands. And he's like, when he's talking to me, I'm like, I think he's going to hit me. He goes, the more you make, the more you give. And I'm like this, I'm like, and I'm trying to comprehend it. I'm trying to process it. And I look at him and I said, you know, and I wasn't being disrespectful. I'm like, sir, I don't understand. And he just puts his giant hand on my shoulder. And it's like, oh, and he leans in, he goes, because you don't make enough fucking money. That's what he told me. And I'm like, okay, so what do you mean? He goes, the more you make, the more you give. So like Bedros is huge on like, you know, he does a coaching program that costs astronomical amounts of money. And he told me, if you donate X amount of dollars to the charity that he wants, which is the Shriners, I will coach you my $100,000 package. And it's nowhere near that. I'm like, what? So he's all about giving back to community in that. And I'll tell you what, that was probably the hardest thing that he had to teach me. Because man, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. And that's what we do as humans, right? He's like, no, man, give more, you know, because I go to church, give more to your church, give more to the community. You know, if you go to a thing, stroke a check in your wife's name, have her go up and do something for breast cancer. And I do this. And I will tell you this, when he first said it, I thought he was the craziest. I was like, this motherfucker is crazy. But he was absolutely right. It feels good. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that goes, yeah, that's easy, man. You work for Bedros Keuilian and you hang out with all these people. But here's the moral of the story. I'm going to bring it to full circle. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. Anybody can do it, because most people haven't been in jail. They haven't been addicted to drugs. They haven't been alcohol. They didn't have the abusive childhood I had. They didn't have all the things that I had against me, but yet I still did it. My mindset is when I walk into a room, I will be the most relentless, ruthless in a good way, dominating force in that room. I am magnetic. People are drawn to me because they know, like, and it doesn't matter what fight I'm in, right? With my family, fitness, my finance, and my faith. I may not win everyone, but I'm telling you right now, you're going to be bruised up, man. You're going to know I was there. And the difference between me and everyone else is I go right back to the drawing board and go, huh, what do we do next? That's why I have all these. I have this that I write certain things in. I have my notepad, this one that I write my super important things with. And I got this notepad. Why don't I use a whiteboard? Because I take these three things everywhere I go. And Lily Bedros will be like, show me what you did today. I'm like, everything, notes in here, what I got to do with everything. I got it. I even got it marked what I got to do today. Everything is in here every day. Steve Eckhart, you know who Steve is.
Oh yeah. Scary ass Steve. That's what I call him.
Scary ass Steve. Yeah. He's like, you got a calendar for your work. Why don't you have a calendar for your family?
Yep.
What do you mean? Why don't you have a calendar for your family? What's more important? You lose your job. Is your family still there? I'm like, yes, sir. He goes, if you get sick, is your family still going to be there? Yes, sir. He goes, then why in the, Steve, why the fuck don't you have a? So now I have a color coordinated family, fitness, finance, faith. I have color coordinated on my thing to the day, scheduled out, just like Stephen Bedros. And I don't miss those windows anymore. That's what it's about. It's about not missing those opportunities that you can create because you're there versus, jotting something down on a piece of paper, forgetting about it. I didn't put my haircut in.
Not getting a haircut.
Because I was relying on the messages. So what am I going to go do now? I'm going to go pay up for my time.
When do you do it? Like, when do you actually have time? Do you put time in your calendar to schedule time for the following weeks? Or are you scheduling stuff as kind of? So
I schedule things pretty much once you get your first week done. All I do is copy and paste those colors and weeks, and I put it down there and I change the times out. I change it. Like on Sunday, I try to have most of my week scheduled, but as things come up, I just add to it. But I have non-negotiables. My daughter has the game today, and my wife is getting a tattoo on her hand right here. So she's getting a little right here. I'm not going to miss my 3 o'clock, and I'm not going to miss my 8 o'clock. I'm not going to do it. Everything else I can do on the phone. I can, I take all my stuff with me here, and I can do it in my big truck that I have. I can do all that. But other than that, I will not miss those. That's what I have to do tomorrow. I have to fly out to California. I won't miss that. I already scheduled my Uber. Why do I schedule my Uber? Because I'm not leaving my big TRX at the airport, and I'm not going to have my wife get up and mess up her schedule because I'm going to do something. I could, but I'd rather pay $40 because then she can sleep an extra 40 or 50 minutes. That is worth it. That extra 40 minutes I got has her being a more, well-rested mother that takes care. And I'll tell you what, for all your listeners, if you got to stay at home, if you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, you got the toughest job in the world, man. I don't know how the hell she does it. Salute to all you guys. Wow, man. And to you single moms out there that do it all. Wow. I'll tell you what, you could be a Navy SEAL any second, because that's a lot tougher than what I did.
Yeah, it's for sure. Ray, you're coaching individuals to perform at their peak performance, right?
Yes, sir.
If somebody's stuck, they know what they should be doing, but they just don't do it. How do you help them uncover what it is that's stopping them and then help them move forward?
Well, I make people create a journal, and I make them do 2 journals. Make them write it, and I make them text it. Texting and writing are 2 different things, right? And then what I do is, like, when I coach people, I want to see their notes. Pull them up, let's see it. So I make them write it out and say, okay, like case in point, if someone's having a bad week, or like if I'm doing something with nutrition, they say, man, I'm just having a bad week. First, you got to be honest with yourself. Like, hey, I see you went to McDonald's 3 times this fucking week. So then we just start isolating the problem, right? Remember the emotional discipline, red, green, blue. Okay, how did you feel when you got on a scale and you weighed 12 pounds overweight this month when you should have been only 9 pounds overweight? I was pissed off. Well, that's red. When did you disassociate when you were, well, when I knew that if I went to McDonald's, I went to the blue because I just didn't care. So all you do is you start seeing these reds and blues, the greens where you want to be. And then I go, well, I have my marker right here, that my pen that has different colors on it. The green, the red, the blue, all this stuff right here. Mm-hmm. You just put an X in it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do these things this week. Try to keep your schedule as good as you can next week. And let's see where we are. Next week, shit, I'm only 10 pounds overweight. I feel better. I'm getting up. I got my exercising in. Well, let's do that again. Red, blue, green. You do that to the point where there's always going to be some red and blue, right? But the trick is 90% of the civilization feeds off the red and blue. If you can control it, that's one thing, but most people can't control that. So my thing is let's keep you, right? I want to red line you and blue line you. Boom, 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 boom. Not this and this, because then I'm 12 pounds overweight because I went to McDonald's 3 times. So it sounds complicated, but it's really not. Not if you just write down what you've done. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll tell me, Ray, I'm 12 pounds overweight and all I ate was this, 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 and this week. Really? Did you really? Because macros don't lie. If you're eating this and you weigh this and you're doing this unless you have a thyroid problem or blah, 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 then that's the case. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I'm like, and here's the thing, as a coach, it's bad enough lying to me, but lying to yourself, if you can lie to yourself, you can lie to anybody on planet Earth. Can't do that. First thing that people need to stop doing is lying to themselves and making excuses. There's problem makers, problem solvers. I'm a problem solver, man. And people that go through life, why me? Why me? And I look at people and go, why not you? I'll tell you why. Because you're doing this, 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 and this. And they're like, you're being mean. I'm like, am I? Or am I being a word that starts with an H and ends with ist? Honest. Right? The world needs more tough love. When I do my courses, the project and stuff, I went viral yelling at a guy. People are like, you never talk to me like that. You're the people that need the most. I'd punch you in the face. No, you wouldn't, because you wouldn't spend that kind of money to come to that course unless you knew you needed some help, because you tried everything else and it hasn't worked. But yet you see these Instagram, the social media keyboard warriors. And these are the people that are sitting home, living off mom and dad, 20 pounds overweight, wishing they were this, wanting this, right? I tell people, stop wishing and wanting and start making and taking action. When you start doing that, man, I'll tell you what, the haters will come. I love the haters. I love them. I love them because it tells me I'm doing something right, and they're so miserable with their pathetic lives. They don't know what to do except bitch and moan. So this is what I'm telling you. If you're a person that's bitching and moaning, and you're not happy with your life, do a self-reflection drill, grade yourself, be ferocious with yourself when your family, your fitness, your finances, faith. Are you a good father, husband, wife, sister, brother, whatever avenue? Fitness. Are you physically, mentally, emotionally sound? Finance, right? Are you grinding? You're talking to a guy that worked on Christmas. I worked on Christmas. I made 2 sales on Christmas. On Christmas. You know what Bedros said? Not bad. Not bad. Last is the faith. And the faith is simple as this. And I want everybody to listen to me because I taught your son this. You use your last name and you put team in front of it. It's not together, everybody accomplishes more. It's trust. Trust in yourself, trust in who you surround yourself with, and trust the process. It's beautiful and violent. Effort. Don't give me 100%. Give me everything you got and then some. Attitude. Nothing will open or close a door faster in this world than a good or bad attitude. And M is mission. Mission is the 6 forms of growth that we want on planet Earth. And that's physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and financial. And spiritual does not have to be religion unless you want it to be. It is believing in yourself, because I'm telling you this right now, as a man, people in this world do not believe in you the way that you can believe in yourself. Trust me on this, because people always have, 99% of people in the world have ulterior or alternate motives. And the thing is once you're secure with yourself and you believe in yourself, you know your self-worth, and you just become a great human being, you can see through that bullshit. I have cut so many negative people, places, and things out of my life. And I'll tell you this right now, I'm not going to apologize for being fit. I'm not going to apologize for having a beautiful wife and a great house and a beautiful truck and a beautiful life, because I work my ass off. And if people don't like that, I mean this with all due respect, you can suck it, because it took me 45 years of failing. And that's the thing. Whenever you meet somebody that's wants to be where you're at, don't ask them how awesome it is to be rich. Ask them, how did you get there? That's the first thing. How did you do this? Bedros is like sleeping in a 1-bedroom, working 20 hours a day. I'm like, and I'm working 15. He's like, you're working 15, you're not working 20. He goes, but you're going where you need to be, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, then 15 is fine. But if you want to take it to the next level, you have to step up more. But it was just him and his wife at the time. They didn't have kids. I still got kids and I'm juggling. But I'll work 12, 15 hours a day. And how many? 7 days a week.
What does work look like for you? When you say I work, what are you doing?
I'm making calls. I'm selling. I'm recruiting for our 4 programs that we're running.
What are you selling?
I sell the project, which is our 75-hour course held in Temecula, California, starting in February. I'm selling Operation Black Site, where you get to shoot, move, and communicate with myself, Tim Kennedy, Michael Chandler, Bedros Keuilian. We've got Dan Flashman, Tony Blauer, Sean Whalen, Tim Grover, and Wes Watson. Sorry about that. And the star-studded cast. I'm doing corporate training where we go around to companies as big as Chevy, Dodge, Sansone Brothers. We go on and on. We do that. And then, of course, my passion project, The Squire, molding young men into the young savage servants that they need to be, giving them and letting them know that the rite of passage to becoming man is hard, but it's and the shit that you're going through is normal. That's what I do, and that's who I am. And I'm going to do this until I die.
Love it. So was the Squire program your idea?
I think it was a culmination of everybody's idea. I think it was mainly Bedros's, but my father died when I was 11. Just so be it. The men can start at 11, 16 years until 16. You don't even have to be someone's father. We've had uncles, we've had male role models. We've even stepped in. If there's single moms that can't afford it, we'll provide a male role model for them. We'll try to do it for a discount. We've even done free ones before. We are trying to create a new civilization of what we think is the best output of what a young man is. And that's courage, loyalty, honor, being committed, and just doing, I don't want to say the Lord's work, but doing what needs to be done. I say doing the Lord's work, but doing what needs to be done, and making impact in this life. And I am so blessed and so thankful. I don't know how something greater than me made me and Bedros meet up. We did it. It was amazing. And I'm not looking back.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't a coincidence. You put things in perspective, and Bedros says, we're at war for masculinity. And what I mean by you put things in perspective is one of your interviews a while back, Navy SEALs after Osama bin Laden, I think after Afghanistan and Iraq, and, the Lone Survivor and the American Sniper movies and all that, Navy SEALs kind of came to the forefront. Before that, really, Navy SEAL, nobody really knew what Navy SEAls did.
Agreed.
And so you're getting interviewed and the guy kind of puts you on a pedestal and you say, that's not me. The real heroes are World War II vets.
Oh yeah.
The guys who didn't get enough food, had shitty supplies and equipment, and didn't have anywhere to sleep. They don't have the clothes. They're in the snow. And Vietnam, right? And it's such a good perspective. It had an impact on me when you said it. And the same thing goes now. It's like being a man is not what it used to be. Like I remember my father teaching me, and by the way, my parents, I grew up without my dad. They got divorced, but I remember my father, maybe even my mother, but since young age, how to shake a hand, look somebody in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that I never taught my son how to do that? You did?
No, I mean,
When he shook a hand, I noticed he's looking down. I'm like, oh shit. I didn't do that for him.
well, it's amazing we just take for granted. Sometimes life gets busy because I know you're a great dad. I mean, so I'm not going to sit here. And if I didn't think you were a dad, I wouldn't say it over a podcast, obviously.
Oh, sure.
But I think you're a great dad. But just listen, it's no excuse. But the thing is what I always tell these dads is after this, if I taught him this and you notice this from an outside perspective, maybe you need to kind of go back in time mentally and say, okay, this, I'm going to teach him how to fish. I'm going to teach him how to do this. I'm going to teach him how to do this. I'm going to teach him how to do this. Just so he knows, right? Like teaching your son how to build a fire. Teach your son how to build a fire. Like with a pack of, like how to build it, right? If you can, there's different ways to do it, or just so he knows. Teach him that moss grows on what side of the tree. There's little things that you can teach your son that he may never use, but if he does need them, he'll be like, holy shit, my dad taught me that. Because I didn't have a dad teaching me anything.
Yep. No, I know how you feel. All right. 75-hour, the MDK project. Who's that for and why should guys do it?
So that is for men between the ages of 18 to whatever, who are looking to level up and man up and be pushed physically, mentally, emotionally, who are maybe looking for a master reset, who are looking to surround themselves with a group of individuals. This is a lifelong brotherhood who want to be tested physically, mentally, emotionally, who are going to give me blood, sweat, and tears, and who will be wet, cold, tired, and hungry. That's who this is for. I don't care what ethnicity you are. I don't care if you're the most squared away guy, or you're the most effed up guy. I'm looking for men who want to be a mentor and be mentored by others. And they want to be a part of something greater than them. Other than that, I'm going to tell you to go pack sand.
Dude, I freaking love it. And by the way, we all want to be a part of a tribe. When I saw like 4 of you having the same tattoo in the same place, and I asked about it, I think Matt, I asked instructor Matt about it. He told me. I thought it was the coolest freaking thing. I asked Bedros about it. He told me. So I am going to have that
60 of us have it now.
Yeah.
Not in the same place, but all over where, depending on where you are and who you are. I want the world to see it.
Yeah.
I want the world to see it.
I can't wait. I'm definitely going to get mine.
Okay, good.
What's the difference that you see between people who make it and ones who don't?
The ones that make it, their life is, they call me back and it's, they have project babies, meaning, they're amazing. They call me, they go, I can't believe I've been doing it wrong for so long. Thank you so much. I get calls from the wives. Oh my God, he's a better husband, provider, lover, more caring, more kind. He's more driven. And the guys that don't make it, I call them, you never hear from them again because they go back to the same, whatever they were doing, making excuses of why they quit.
But what's the difference between the ones who quit and ones who didn't? Like during the program.
It's the want versus the need. People that want it, that's not enough. You need to need it. You need to level up, man up, be better, and like lay it all out on the fucking line. Like that's what I did with SEAL training. Lay it out. That's why all these people, they come for the wrong reasons. Well, I want to get trained by a Navy SEAL. Well, I want to be. Our course isn't going to make you a Navy SEAL. It's not going to make you a millionaire. It's not going to do this. It's going to give you the mentality to do whatever you want to do afterwards, physically, mentally, emotionally. And it's a check in the box. We know how tough you are physically, mentally, emotionally. And we're going to surround ourselves with great people. And then we're going to start networking and creating that growth, whatever growth you need. Financial comes last, but it will come.
Oh, yeah. And is there like a certain area? I don't know how much you can tell me about what you guys do, but is there a certain section or exercise where most people kind of go ring the bell?
Either Well, it depends because we've had people wake up and quit. We've had people at the pit where they have to crawl, quit. The ocean, they quit. We've had one time Bedros was giving a speech and someone quit. It's just if you start letting the demons and the negativity take over, it's so easy to go back to your cushioned life or just realize that it's three sunrises. Three sunrises.
Three sunrises.
I gave a speech on that. I can do anything for three sunrises. Anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
It's just next. So Marine Corps boot camp, it's no buds, but I went, it's just, hey, next meal. How long till the next meal? All right. How long till the next meal? Yep. That's how you make it.
That's it. One bite at a time, brother.
Dude, the biggest aha moment, and I'll let you go. I know you got to get going. The biggest aha moment I had today, and I want to thank you for this, is one, how humble you are. But two, that even if a guy like Ray Care, I mean, been in movies, had a successful coaching company, Navy SEAL veteran, so I'm sure you've done a lot of cool shit there. CIA operative. I mean, you've done some good stuff. You've done enough stuff to have been able to build up your self-confidence to be a Greek god. And you allowed Bedros to mentor you. And you saw that even you had fears of failure or not being the best you could have been. And you took charge and worked on that. And if a guy like you can do it, that gives me hope that anybody can do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think you just have to be humble. I'm humble, but I'm not hungry. I'm starving. I'm starving for more. I'm never going to be satisfied, but I'm grateful, not greedy. That's the key. Every day I get up, I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful for what I have. But the one thing that I'll tell people here is if you're going to be greedy about one thing in life, be greedy about your why. Because when I ask guys, why are you going through the project for my wife and my kids? Well, what do you want to be? I want to be a better husband, father, this and this. Like, you got it wrong, bro. Your why needs to be you. My why is me. I am going to be the best version of me I can be. So then I can be when I extend out to father, husband, lover, whatever it is, business owner, I will be a better version of myself. You cannot be selfless with your why. That's the only thing I'm selfish with. I am going to be the best version of me until the day I die. And then when I go, whether I go up or down, I'm going to take over where I'm at too.
Wow. So Coach Eric's going to come out. In order for you to do that, you have to have a very good vision of what the best version of you is before you become it. So if you guys don't know what the best version of you is, take time this weekend to write that down, figure out who you want to be, and then live into it.
Amen.
Because we can all do it. Ray, thank you so much. How can people get a hold of you or?
Yeah. The two main ways to get a hold of me, IG, Instagram, at Ray Cash Care. I got the blue check, use that, or just go to raycashcare.com. I answer every DM that I get as long as it's professional. And I answer every, because I'll get an email if you want to schedule me for coaching or fitness or, whatever any of one of our programs is. And I will answer that as long as it's provided or presented in a professional manner. You'll get a professional response. If it's not, I just delete and block. Two of my favorite buttons in the world.
Before I let you go, how'd you get the name Cash?
Working for the CIA, my original call sign was Care Bear. A lady already had it, had a Cash shirt on, and the guys were like, we'll call him Cash. Pre-Joaquin Phoenix, big Johnny Cash fan. That's it.
That's it.
That's
awesome.
it.
Now I know. Ray, thanks for being here, my friend. You're a rock star. Have a good day, man.
Boom.